So the rural water guy is not here?
Not here, no.
Is the lights low up here?
Not that I see. Chris said he was able to reach him before he started heading this way.
It's like your lights are out over there,
No
yeah.
wonder I can't see.
Your lights are out. So you're allowed to doze off or something.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I should have brought my sunglasses, said they were reading glasses.
Thank you. Thanks for emailing that.
What's wrong? Are you serious? Allison's ready home.
Matthew not to, he's going to create a mad rush. And he said, he talked to Tara. I'm like, please don't. He's going to do it. Maybe he's talking about it and listen to me anymore, so I gave up. He got trying to push too hard.
Well, he wasn't very clear with me exactly what he. That's right. I was gonna say it's we have capacity.
That must have looked good from the audience.
He said I do. Actually, he said I'm out of here.
Hosting that tonight, man.
Hey, the railing is all the way over there.
It could be just 1 year from now.
Oh, you're so funny.
Last year.
Uh-huh. Sure.
You sure? You sure?
Just if it goes, be like
Can we get some light up in here?
Get some lights out.
Do we?
Called-
Christine.
Call to order Minneola City Council. If all rise, as led by example by Mr. Saunders. Pledge allegiance. Vice Mayor.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda review.
Looks good, except for,
We've got a couple that's got to get moved.
yeah, item 1,
Tabled.
tabled, please. I received a call from Jeff Henderson.
Okay.
And before we move further, can I also make a motion to excuse Eric Hernandez?
Okay. I have a motion to excuse Eric Hernandez. Can I get a second?
Second.
First and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Joe?
Do we need to make a motion to table item 1, or no?
Yeah. Can I get a motion to table item 1?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Joe? You're good?
Meeting.
Scott, you had a couple that you wanted to?
Yes, in case anybody's wondering, the workshop that was scheduled at the beginning of this meeting will need to be tabled to the next 2 weeks until the next, the same time, 6:30 at the beginning of the next council meeting. And the companion second reading of the impact fee ordinance 2025-07, which is item 11, if we could table both of those items to the next council meeting on the, was that June 3rd?
Can I get a motion to table those?
I'll make a motion to table those.
Can I get a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, those are. Very quickly, I would like to make a motion. Or do we have them on there? No, that's fine, we're good.
No
With that-
motion?
No motion, we're good.
Okay.
The next one is public comment. If there's anybody in the audience that wants to speak on anything that's not on the agenda, please come forth at this time. It's Banks time.
Farmer Banks Helfrich, Clay Road District, South Lake County. Farm tip of the day, loquats, also known as Japanese plums, are about this big. They are yellow, orange in coloration when they are ripe. They have about a 2-week ripe season, and they are not only ornamental, but they are also fruit-bearing trees, and they grow like weeds in Florida. Mayor, council, distinguished guests, newly elected mayor of Groveland, in his swearing-in speech made 2 points extremely clear. One, that the citizens are the leaders, and 2, that the representatives, those who they elect, are servants to them, the citizens. And I cannot agree more with him. Once a year, municipalities have elections, sometimes every 2 years, every 4 years. Federal, county, and also state elections happen. This is a time for us, we the people, to choose, to decide, to vote for our servants. Those who we decide on, which is you all here up at the dais, are those to service us. The intricacies of our government, you all are there to help us move through it in a positive way. You are there to find justice and opportunity for all of us. Roughly 20 years ago, my mom had an issue with her state representative, so she called him up. She spoke with the assistant. The assistant said, the state representative will call you back up in a year. I'm sorry, not a year, in 24 hours.
Okay.
Within an hour, he called her up. My mom explained the issue to him. He turned around and said, I will get back with you within 1 day, 24 hours. Within 1 hour, that issue was resolved. That man ended up being the Speaker of the House in Tallahassee for the state representatives. So I'm going to leave you with a question today, and that is, this pertains to not only you all up in the dais, it pertains to everybody here, and that is, if we are not here to serve, why are we here? I am Farmer Banks Helfrich. May you all be blessed. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience want to speak?
Good evening, Jennifer Morris, 1064 Golden Dawn Loop. Just a couple things initially. I sent an email. I just wanted to bring it to council that the Miss Jean King from her charity, her daughter's charity, Chelsea King Burney Charity, is going to be donating a bench on behalf of Dina Gonzalez at the Minneola Garden. So she'll keep me updated on when that is ready, and there will be a plaque for her. So we'd like to thank her for that. And I also, actually, I'll bring that, the road cleaning, I'll bring it up during, are we gonna still do project updates? Even though Eric's not here?
Go ahead and bring it up now.
Okay, so I did send a letter about the roads that need cleaning when I polled Ardmore and then my mom's group, and they're in the other Minneola neighborhoods. So just wanted an update on where the road cleaning is and if we have a timeline, because I haven't seen anybody in Ardmore. So I'm just wondering if anything has been done and how long it takes to get these roads cleaned up.
Mark, can you get back with her on that one?
Okay, thank you.
Mark will get back with you on that
Okay,
one.
perfect, thank you.
Anybody else in the audience? Okay. We have a presentation?
No, that was tabled.
No, it's proclamation, my bad.
Yeah.
Wrong glasses. We have the proclamation, National Public Works Week. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainability and resilient communities and the public health of high quality of life and the well-being of people of the city of Minneola. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated effort of public working professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, and who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste management, public buildings, and other infrastructure and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for these citizens, civic leaders, and children of the city of Minneola to gain knowledge and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas this year, 2025, marks the 65th anniversary of National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, be it now. Therefore, IPAC Cali do here designate May 18th through the 24th as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize their contributions they make in protecting the national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. So, I would like to personally thank, along with the rest of council, I know they feel the same way of thanking our public works, what they do here, Mark. I know that we're a small but mighty crew, and they do a fantastic job. So personally thank them for that.
Pass it along.
Okay. Can I get a motion? Anybody want to discuss anything on the consent agenda? That would be-
I'm sorry, I have a question. For item 8, the purchase requests for that Nissan van,
It's
Yeah,
for
that's-
IT, and it's
for IT,
and
thank you.
a used van for enterprise.
Perfect, thank you. You answered my question.
Okay, yeah. So I guess since it's Nissan and it kind of goes with IT, it kind of all works together. It's the theming.
Got it.
Yes, Jennifer.
Um,
Can you state your name, please?
Yeah, Jennifer, no. Jennifer Morston, 64 Golden Dawn Loop. Just a question on the crossing guard uniforms. I read that they could be donated. I'm wondering if Ardmore could have them in the little stop sign so we could use it for our Halloween event since it's crazy. And we're going to try to get volunteers to be crossing guards and stuff.
I'm going to have to defer to Mark and Scott on that. There is a possibility of, it's like borrowing old police uniforms.
No, it's not. It's just crossing guard uniforms.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think anybody does. I just need to make sure that
Yeah.
we're clear. Scott, you can see the gerbil in Scott's head's like spinning around right
The
now.
attorney.
It'll be fine.
Okay,
Okay, that's it.
All
That's
right.
fine.
thank you. I just, Mark, you'll let me, I can come pick them up. or
Yeah, I
something?
got no problem with that. I gotta find out what code had in mind, if it was some other city they were donating them to. If not, you're welcome to.
Okay,
So if you can just
thank
work
you.
with Mark.
okay, well, will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay. Bring back for council for consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the city manager's consent agenda.
Okay, and a motion, can you get a second?
I'll second it.
A first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, there's a lot going on in the city. I think we're pretty much all up to date on where the projects are, but I do want to make a couple comments, some things that are going around just to clarify. At a high level, instead of going into detail, Fred's on top of, we have changed vendors for the landscaping at City Hall. It should be starting this week. They should be moving in and organizing in the next week to get, they'll be correcting the sprinklers and then saving whatever grass they can. So he's on top of that one. Library's kind of moving forward. They're starting to put some shelves in, so we'll keep up with that. I guess the roadways, Mark will follow up. They're still working through those, but he'll get with Jennifer on where we are on those. The Memorial Park is pretty much, they've got it. If they've not, they pour concrete tomorrow, I believe.
No, today they
They
did.
did pour concrete. I know it was bounded up, so
Yeah.
that's moving forward.
Yeah, we were actually scheduled for yesterday, but then they changed it to Wednesday, and then she sent an email back saying that she was able to fit it in today along with the library.
It's been poured.
And it's been poured, yeah.
Yeah, so cool. And then, Mark, you're going to look at, are we looking at docks yet? Have we figured that, the whole dock situation?
The pier.
Yes, I have, two different people have provided me with some
That's fine.
information.
It was a yes, no, yeah, you're on it. Okay. The big one here is the wastewater treatment plant. I just want to address that. It is a big project for the city, and I think there's a couple comments that are out there. I just kind of want to set the record straight on it. First off, there's a difference between consumptive use permit and capacity. Consumptive use permit is through St. John's, and they're saying that we've maxed out on that. We're meeting with St. John's on July, into June, 1st of July, Mark and I. They want to meet with us to figure out what we're going to do with the consumptive use permit. They are not wanting to send letters telling people to stop development, so I think that's good. The other one is capacity issue. We do have capacity at our wastewater treatment plant now. If growth continues, we will not, because it just kind of works out, but it is a moving target. We are fortunate as the city, if we needed to, tomorrow, we could bond out money, buy a bunch of property sitting next to it, and build the Taj Mahal of wastewater treatment plants. There's not a question. The question is, it's the financial responsibility of the city, and what are we doing to be feasibly responsible with the taxpayers' money? We could do a quick fix and have it open in 24 to 36 months with capacity. But then in 10 years from now, there's some legislation that's come through that we're going to have to do some additional water treatment. And so we're trying to work on the best plan to make sure that we meet that, because we could do a throwaway project and meet capacity, but then we'd have to rebuild. So where are we coming through? So for us, it's not the capacity issue. It's just what's the most feasibly responsible thing to do for the city, because we don't want to bond it. I think we're in a position where we'll be able to do it without any bonds at this point in time. But please give us until, I would say, fall. We'll come up with a complete Gantt chart timeline, what I'm looking to see. For those who don't know, I'll probably be here about another year. So the last thing I have is that bow on the top is making sure that the wastewater treatment plant is taken care of, and there is a plan. I didn't leave it just for the next person. So hopefully by the end of the fall, working with Bo, just coming some balances out. So I think we're good with capacity on that. So I just trying to extinguish anything that's freaking out. Capacity is not the issue. Minneola being cheap is the issue. It's the problem, and that's just being physically
Frugal is the word.
Frugal.
Yeah, not cheap.
Frugal. Us being frugal.
Or
and not-
inexpensive,
But we
yeah.
could be bougie.
Well,
We could be bougie and have it fixed tomorrow. But we're good. We're good in Minneola. So hopefully that answers any of those questions. And look forward. Hopefully by the end of the year we should have a good solid plan in play. I know we talked to Bo earlier on that, and thank you, Fred, for y'all been working diligently. They've come up with some really creative ideas, so I think Mark keeps challenging them, but we know Mark. Mark's like, yeah, that's good, go back for another one. Pushing them, pushing them, pushing them. Okay, that was it for project updates. Is there anything I missed? If anybody has a question on project updates?
What about the water?
The CUP, the concept use?
No. The amount of water we have.
It's being,
Tanks, pipes.
that's being done, that's being handled in the project that will be coming up at the end of the summer. So with capacity, we're fine with wastewater. I think we've got the new pipes that they're planning a new one there. So they've got a complete design project. I think the first one that came through was the Taj Mahal. And we could build it tomorrow. We just trying to scale it back and finding where the efficiencies are.
Yeah, we're in the Sugarloaf Water Treatment Plant, one of our 3 plants, is under construction for a large ground storage tank right now. They're out there, tank is up, so we're in the process of getting that completed, which will help serve the needs for the future.
Well, I was asking you for you to.
Yeah, for you to explain that, thank you.
I know where the tank is.
Okay. So thank you.
I do have a question about the corner of Education and Hancock. I was going to save it for questions for end of our meeting for our city manager, but since it is one of the projects that were discussed previously, where are we at with that, with those pine trees?
With Education in Hancock,
Yes, the corner.
for which project?
That was the clearing up for the overflow parking for the MAC.
Oh, we recently tried to reach another tree company that was out here working, and they did not want to come out and do our small site, so we're
If
gonna have
you,
to probably go in and rent the equipment and do it ourselves.
if you don't mind, at Crooked Can, Fauché used somebody for theirs, some of their site cleaning. So maybe if you ask, I know Fauché doesn't do it, but you can ask Fauché if they have a number of somebody. They had a small local person out of Groveland, I believe, that did small site clearings for them.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Flipping. So that gets us all the way to fast forward to conditional use permit for 101 North 27.
Now, are we doing item 11?
Did I do 11? No, 11 got,
11 was tabled.
11
for
got
the-
I'm
Table.
sorry.
Item 12, Resolution 2025-08, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Minneola, Florida, granting conditional use permit pursuant to Chapter 106, Section 106-1 of the Land Development Code of the City of Minneola, Florida, for property generally located at 101 North US Highway 27 to allow the property to be used for house of worship purposes, providing for conditions, providing for recordation, providing for an effective date. This is a quasi-judicial, so if there's anybody that wishes to speak on this matter, if they could please raise their right hand. Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
Thank you all.
So this is for the, what was the Lake Motors right across the street. And the church is actually, the pastor of the church is actually a longtime resident of the city of Minneola. And the place where they were using suddenly decided to no longer allow them to use it. So they came in for a conditional use permit to go in across the street. This is only a temporary conditional use permit because the city attorney and I are working on an ordinance to actually make houses of worship a special exception use in B1, because there's nothing specified in B1 for them. But we propose to do that because there is a big need for somewhere for churches to actually have, these small churches to have a storefront location, because there's really no vacant public facility land in the city for them to lease to use for their services. So this is just, like I said, this is just to go along for the rest of the BTR year that we currently have. So our BTRs expire September 30th. The new BTRs have to be renewed October 1st. So this is just a conditional use permit for now, and once the new BTR time comes around, they will have had to apply for a special, and we'll have the ordinance passed at that point. They'll have to apply for a special exception use for that church there. So there's a few conditions here. There's a few minor things that the property owner needed to do to bring the property up to code. I believe he has probably already done most of those or is working on those. They were minor things, but we did want to get them settled, and the main thing was to get some grass planted on the back of the lot so it doesn't erode away anymore. The one thing, one of the conditions that's in here is, our code prohibits alcoholic beverages being sold within 300 feet of a house of worship. Part of this is they have to agree not to object to the to Little Anthony's or the Peruvian restaurants across the street because they were there first. So that's part of this agreement and part of the condition of them getting this conditional use permit.
Okay. Questions?
Thank you.
Keeping with the previous building, there's not a requirement that you have to drive a smart car, is there? For those who don't know, that was a dealership that just dealt in smart cars. So yes, anybody in the audience, I'm fine with this personally. Honestly, I have this fear that if I turn down any religious house of worship, that lightning bolt will strike me. So I do have that fear in me, but I'm fine with this. It's been a long time since we've had these. It seems like they were in a lot of the strip malls around here, but vacancy, it's getting hard. So they've kind of got pushed out. So I'm fine with it.
The property owners here and the church pastors here, if y'all have any questions.
If you have any questions, I'm good, yeah.
I'm fine with it as long as they know about Little Anthony's and across the street.
We're good. Joe?
Who could argue with religion?
Okay. So yeah, I'm fine with it. Anybody in the audience? Bring it back to a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
A second.
First and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, welcome to Minneola.
Welcome.
I assume that motion was to approve.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Sure was.
Excluding the smart car comment.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
thank you.
Okay, new fire station.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is item number 13 on your agenda. My name is Eric Rosh with Inspire here in my capacity as a contract planner to the city. This is a conceptual plan for a public safety facility. It's located west of North Hancock Road and south of County Road 561A. Just about 5 acres in size for the public safety facility itself. It's part of a larger 20-acre city-owned tract that's shown outlined in red. So as I mentioned, it's part of a larger city-owned tract, and it's a conceptual site plan. It includes a new fire station and then a Lake County Sheriff's satellite office. We've aligned the access point with Eagle Wind Way to the east. As you can see, that's the primary point of access for the site. Just zooming in, as I mentioned, the access is aligned. We've got a parking area on the north. If you recall, the Minneola Ridge approval included a park immediately to the west of this site around Teardrop Lake. And that site doesn't have any access really through Minneola Ridge. The access would come through this piece. So we've added an area for parking just north of the stormwater pond that will provide that access. And then an out parcel immediately to the east of that, which can be used for an expansion of the parking or some other use should the city choose. We've got a north-south road that provides future access. You can see the stub independent of the fire station public safety site. And most importantly to the fire department, really wanted to make sure we had that dedicated controlled access for their vehicles. So if you notice, the north-south road is really independent of their parking area. And they got kind of their own area that's really controlled access for the fire station only. So we work really closely. Yes, ma'am.
I just didn't mean to cut you off, but just for you, the parcel in the bottom right-hand corner, who still maintains that? Is that part of the city center still?
Immediately to the south.
Yeah, it would be the part that's not grayed out.
Yeah, that would be the city's property. So if-
No, the city center, is that part of the city center, or is it a square, is the property square?
let me get back to this one. So everything in the yellow is owned by the
Okay, got
city.
it. Thank you. I
Yep,
missed that
in
one.
the
You were-
city
You were
center.
scooting pretty fast on that one. Okay,
Yes, sir.
thanks.
So we've got the north-south alignment, and then we've got the required parking for the park. So with that, we worked really close with the fire department on the layout. I think we did, 4 or 5 different concepts to come up with this, and this seems to work best for what they were looking for. So just wanted to present it here this evening, get some feedback from council, and see if you had any other comments before we take it to the next level and allow the engineers to get a hold of it.
Chief, are you, thumbs up, are you good with it? If he's good, I'm good. The only quest I have for this whole thing is, let's buy American Doors.
Ditto.
So, yeah, what do we need, Scott, anything?
This is just a conceptual plan, right, at this,
Have,
just,
have fun, Chief and Fred, and the first one was a learning curve, so hopefully this one will go a little faster.
A lot.
A lot faster. Okay.
Sorry.
Well, if the bar was set, I mean, the bar is, you got a lot of, so thanks.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
we can keep the temporary gates from, this one.
Oh, yeah, we can use that.
Yeah,
we
just
can
in
mo-
case,
We can use it, well, maybe, by then, maybe they'll still be hanging by the time that thing is built, hopefully not. So thanks a lot, Chief.
Shush.
Sorry to bring that up.
Before you move on,
Sure.
I have a few comments.
Sure.
Number one, I think the fire station's too far from Hancock Road. The fire station is a valuable city property. I think it should be closer to Hancock Road. Number two, I think the future parking lot should be behind the fire station. As far as I'm concerned, parking lots should be out of sight and out of mind. I don't think they look pretty. They never have an aesthetic look to them. In fact, they're ugly. Sorry. As far as the piece of land called the out parcel, I don't think the out parcel is necessary, which means that if you move the fire station closer to Hancock Road, the out parcel will either shrink or go away. Thirdly, I think the yellowish area is a very important piece of land to the city. And I don't know how things are going to develop in the city, but I think we have to consider a city gathering area. I don't know whether that will ever mature in the city town center.
Brad, can you bring the map back up, please?
After all this time, the city, we don't have a clear definition of the city town center, so I don't know where that's going, but I think that yellowish section should be dedicated to the city gathering area. I think it also could be used for other city buildings. I could visualize 3 to 6 city buildings in that same area. One of them, which I'd love to see, is a post office. But
Agreed.
we've been fighting that battle for almost 20 years, so. But there are other city buildings we could put there. I don't want to be creative and start naming what I think, but the possibility that we would have an expansion of what I call the municipal area, I think would be a tremendous asset. Now, in this area, as a gathering area, we could have nice walks, we could have entertainment, maybe an entertainment stand, not a gazebo, but not a shelf, but something in between where high school students could come and perform for us. We could even pay them a little money, give them an incentive to become professional musicians. It could be a place to have a Christmas market. I know that's very European, but some of us have been to Christmas markets, and they're very pleasant in winter. I don't know about as much down here in Florida because it's warm, but I'm not thinking of just a Christmas market, I'm thinking of events like that that could happen all year long. Auto show, certainly there are events that we all have different tastes for, but someplace to put those would be a tremendous asset. And we would have a place for food trucks. When people gather, they could have snacks to eat. And we could have a place for a restroom. So when we have people gathering there, we could have a place for them to use a restroom. And if you think of the future parking lot as behind the fire station, then we would have a place for the people to go and park and then walk to this gathering area. I would propose that we have 2 entrances and exits to make it easier to get in and out. And I think potentially, when Minneola Ridge develops, it would be nice to have an access road going towards Minneola Ridge. If I can remember correctly, that little lake that I think Eric mentioned, that little lake is supposed to have a walk all the way around it, maybe boats in it, maybe a dock on it. It's supposed to look very pleasant. God only knows what you get a developer to do in the long run, but if that happens, this would be their parking lot to go to that area. And it's possible that there'd be a trail down to it or a walkway down to it, a nice decorated, vegetated path. So, with all that said, I think we need to look at this more in perspective of what we want to do in the future and not depend on the town center or the city center, but depend on the city of Minneola taking the reins in their hand and deciding what to do with their property. Speaking, that's all I have to say.
For the couple of things that I look at it, when I look at the site, I see a direct pullout of the fire trucks. That's why it's sitting that way, so they don't come out and make a left-hand turn or right-hand turn. And now that we have the fire station here, if I lived in any of the houses in the hills, there is some grass or some trees. So when the fire trucks come up, they're gonna get the loud noises, they're gonna get the sirens and all that. It's gonna be loud, so I think sitting it farther back, not from Hancock, not saying it should be closer to Hancock, but as far back from the houses that it could be is where I'm more concerned about. I'd like to set it as far back from the houses as possible.
The houses that are across the Hancock Road?
Yes, because I don't know about you, but my wife has already made comments about hearing the fire trucks leaving City Hall. It is what it is. Just be happy they're close. We're good. I'm just saying, so if we can hear them there, these people are definitely going to hear them in the hills even more. So I think the farther it goes back, the better. I think that the chief and them did a great design on this, what they thought. They took a lot of the input pieces of it. The yellow piece, just leaving it blank is fine with that, fine right now. We still have to figure out, we talked about doing some of those things up in the overlook for concerts and stuff like that. So we've got a lot of property up there, but just leaving that natural right now and letting councils in the future hold it out. But there is usually coming in, you got the map of what's going on at Crooked Can, which is being built as a gathering place. They've already requested to do weekly food trucks there, a show, so that will pretty much be the gathering place, and that is already broken ground. So that's just kind of like letting businesses take care of the businesses and not letting Minneola do it, because then all of a sudden you try to do a gathering place and it becomes competition for something else.
And that's totally understandable, but I think what Joe had mentioned in regards to post office there,
Yeah,
I think
post
that
office,
is,
I'm fine with that.
yeah, I think hands down,
I mean, I support a post office
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
The challenge that you're gonna have with a post office, and this is where Mark and I differ at, and we've had conversations about it, And what I've learned in the post office is you can put a post office up there, but to get its own zip code, you're going to have a distribution center with trucks going in and out. So basically, our zip code for you and I, us who live in Minneola, is actually what is the proper word, Mark? It's a secondary?
Preferred last line is Claremont, we're the secondary.
Yeah, we're the secondary. For us to be the first, for us to actually be the first, we're actually going to have a distribution center for mail trucks to go out of and stuff like that. So, but if you want a small town one, like we have downtown Minneola, I'm not sure what the new zip code would be up there. And so there is that part. I'm not opposed to that, but it doesn't seem to be, the government does not seem to have an appetite to be building post offices right now.
Well, it's just a thought.
But I agree, the post office,
But it's a very good thought, because I hear, not going to get into it, but it's,
yeah, but I
it's
mean, the post
needed.
office won't leave. I mean, Mark and I, we were in discussion, we built the library to try to put a post office. That's where Mark and I got into the question, like, well, let's do a small post office next to the library. And he's like, it probably needs to have a distribution. I'm like, well, then it takes up the whole library property. So we need to have those discussions. We even got with Representative Webster on it, and they were not doing. The post office has got a really good rent on the property that they have now that they're not wanting to leave. So we've tried to figure that piece out. We would actually have to try to buy them out to actually get the post office to move.
I remember.
Yeah.
Let's come back for a minute to the sound of the fire engines.
Yeah.
I live right behind the fire station. I hear them the minute they come out of the doors, turn onto the driveway, and go to 561. I'm not offended by it. To me, it's a sign that they're going to rescue somebody or help somebody. It doesn't bother me at all.
But it's a small group
Now,
compared to.
when the fire engines come out, if you move the fire station to the back, when the fire engines come out, they're gonna be on Hancock Road. Everybody's gonna hear them. They don't run silent.
I just
You
think,
don't expect them to.
I just think there's the lights running, and the farther back off, the farther away from the lights, the better.
So you think 100 feet will make a difference?
Well, it's 100 feet of, right now it's 100 feet of buffering.
Okay,
So you have,
that's your opinion.
yeah, then.
You can have it.
That's fine.
My opinion is the fire station should be in clear view to the citizens of Minneola.
Okay. And I,
Prime view without an out parcel lot in front of it with a building on it. That's my opinion.
Okay.
And I don't need to say any more than that.
I'm fine with the way, I'm fine the way that's laid out.
Are we voting on it tonight?
I know they're just gonna move
Okay,
forward.
so let's stand at that.
Yeah. Okay. Vacation rentals.
Ordinance, hold on. Ordinance 2025-09 on first reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Minneola, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 102, District Regulations by creating Article 5, Sections 504 to 508, Vacation Rental Permit Regulations relating to the regulation of vacation rentals within the city, providing definitions, establishing registration requirements, providing for inspections, addressing nuisance abatement, providing for enforcement and penalties, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This has been one that's sort of a long time coming. I'm sure the Schwartkos are watching on television, as they've done throughout the meetings. They've been very supportive of this proposed act. Backing up and just giving a little bit of background, we've talked about this before. The state of Florida for nearly 15 years has preempted vacation rentals to the state, at least partially. The principal thing is they prohibit local governments, including Minneola, they prohibit us from prohibiting vacation rentals, and we are also not allowed to regulate the duration or frequency of the rental. So you can't require, for instance, that there be a minimum 2-week rental, or that they only rent it part of the year. Those sort of things we are specifically not allowed to do. We are allowed to regulate, but exactly where we're allowed to regulate, there's been some gray area. For the last several legislative sessions, there were various bills going forward, and I think we kept telling you, let's wait and see what the legislature tells us. They were actually last year trying to push forward a uniform registration program that all cities would use, because this varies from cities to cities, from counties to counties throughout the state. That bill died. There was nothing substantive this year, and so frankly, I think the notion was we really can't wait any longer for legislative action. There's a need to regulate it now. The ordinance tonight's just first reading, so we're not voting on it tonight, but the ordinance that's before you this evening is, I would say it's a first step. It's to get something, a groundwork, and then as we move through, if there are issues, we can certainly add to the ordinance or delete things that as work for the city. The main things that this ordinance does is it requires folks who have vacation rental units to register with the city. They're required to register, and as part of that registration process, there's a number of things they have to do. They have to name a local contact, so if we have a problem with the unit, there's someone local that we can contact 24 hours a day. There's a requirement to make sure that it's properly permitted, that it has its fire extinguishers, that it has all the safety things that you would do. There are limits on the occupancy level, so that depending on the size of the house, the number of bedrooms, how many people can be allowed to rent, all those type of things. So that's part of the registration process that is there. The ordinance also has before it a process it addresses things like parking. They have to keep all their parking on site. They can't be blocking the sidewalk and other things. That's an issue that you've heard several times that have been an issue. Addresses things like garbage control, solid waste, occupancy limits, things like that.
So the question is, all that is good, but when somebody rents it for the weekend, getaway, bachelorette party, and you got 3 people that rent it and 30 people show up, how is it going to be enforceable on Saturday night at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night? Is the sheriff going to go kick them out?
I don't think the sheriff is going to kick them out, honestly. I mean, there are a number of enforcement processes in here. They would certainly be cited by code enforcement. There's an infraction in here that
Code
if that,
enforcement is Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
well, but they're allowed to act at other times, but yes, they typically act at those times.
So
But
my question is, we do this, but these violations are usually not happening during Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, so.
if there's a citation process that's provided in here, so if there is a violation and it can be established, basically they get a strike against them, and the way this process works is if they have enough violations within a annual period, you can actually revoke their registration and prohibit them from allowing them to do it. They're given, I think, up to
But then
5 chances.
Don't you get into a property right piece where it's my house, I can do what I want to with it?
Well, no, but there are rights, but there's certainly, it's a permit. It's a privilege to be able to use their house that way, and they certainly have every ability to use it properly and under the law.
I'm for it. I mean, I'm fine with it. My concern is all of a sudden,
How do you enforce it?
how do you enforce it?
Well, I share that same concern with you.
Yeah.
And I
We're on the
think
same
the
page.
ordinance, I think the ordinance should be explicit in that if you block somebody else's driveway, if you block the sidewalk, the sheriff's department can have your vehicle towed, impounded, and you'll have to go and pay to get it back out.
Absolutely.
And that's the person who's living there, not the people who own it, that get noticed a month or a week after the fact.
But we can do that to any city, any,
Already
we
do
can do
that,
that anywhere. You can do it in my neighborhood. If I block the sidewalk on mine, it can get towed also. It might not,
The sheriff's department would be more likely to give you a ticket. They wouldn't tow your car. I'm saying if it's clear in the ordinance when you rent out a piece of property, you have to have familiarity with the rules of the city. And if the rules of the city don't mention that you're gonna be punished for parking there if you're a customer, then that makes it perfectly clear that they can park there and leave tomorrow and they'll never hear from you. I think if you park there and the sheriff's deputies have a right to go and tell you you can't park there, they could call up the towing company and say, please come and get that vehicle and tow it away and impound it.
But what stops them from doing that today, under today's parking, right now? What stops? It's up to the deputy's discretion. We cannot tell the deputies what they can and cannot do.
Well, don't they have to follow the city laws? Well, they
have-
work to their own laws?
It's up to officer discretion. They can give you, it's like if they pull you over for a speeding ticket, the law is you can't speed, but it's up to them if they want to give you a ticket or not.
Do we have a speeding law?
We do.
We do? In neighborhoods and on streets? and-
On our local streets, yes.
So we set the speed on 27,
Not on 27, that's a state road, because that's a state road.
belongs to the state.
Right.
So the point is, we have laws that do this, and it doesn't get done because the people don't know about it. Well, how do they know about it? How's the person who owns the house who lives in El Salvador or Colombia, how do they know what our state laws are? It's their job to find out, isn't it?
I think you should have to put a sign, if it's a Airbnb or you're using a rental, they need to put a sign that you can't block the sidewalks in the property.
And your car could be towed.
I'm just saying,
You could do that.
that you has to, yeah, that it has to be signed that there's no blocking the sidewalk.
What?
Okay.
That- I agree with that.
Is that in the ordinance? No,
Not yet,
Not specifically.
it could be.
but he did write a note down.
I
saw the
did.
pen-
I did wrote that down.
And it's
Yeah.
working, good, so we're making corrections.
We can put that in there.
But that's, and I'm supporting what you're saying.
Yeah,
The guy who parks and blocks the driveway ought to be punished for breaking the law. But he has to know what the law is.
But-
Here's the sign, here's what happens if you do it, and here comes the tow truck.
is there?
End of my
So
interpretation.
I'm going to ask the question, because I don't know. This is because I look at it, is there a way to have a standard sign that if they get this, they have to post this coming into the house, and these are the rules? Maximum occupancy is X. Maximum cars are X. You cannot block the driveway, and that has to be posted in clear visible view of empty house that's an Airbnb. But you post it somewhere on, it has to be in a visible place. Does that make sense, Scott?
Yes, and actually, there is a provision in here that certain rules are posted within the rental unit. That certainly, those type of things could be added within the.
I would like
yeah.
for it to be outside the rental unit.
Outside?
Yes.
Okay, that could be done.
That way the person can say, I didn't see it, or when somebody comes in and they take off they're like, oh, here's the party, but I don't like the sign. This is bad for my TikTok video, so I don't want to show this in the background. And they take the frame and they put it in the dresser drawer. That it just needs to be mounted somewhere.
Yeah, and to give you an example, the ordinance allows citation, fines, code enforcement, and any other lawful means, even nuisance abatement that we could do as the city. In other words, any legal remedies are available. We can certainly spell some of those out a little more. For instance, in the parking situation, the vehicle, if it's parked on a sidewalk, which is actually illegal anyway, now you're correct, usually the officers in their discretion aren't towing people if they're blocking a sidewalk, they just ask them to move it. But the person who parks there could have their vehicle towed and ticketed, and in this case, the owner of the vacation rental can get cited for having a violation that occurred on the property, and that can be an incident, the first incident that they can be fined on if that occurs. So now all that has to be established and proven, but those methods
If
are
you
in
could
place.
just tweak it a little bit more.
Yeah.
With a little bit more visible, that if the sign comes down, then that's a penalty, and then
Yeah.
they lose their privilege.
It went through P and Z, and P and Z was supportive. There were several revisions, and in fact, in your packet, there was a red line change that had the recommendations that P and Z recommended. I would kind of group them into 3 categories. One, they actually brought up a good point. The vacation rental unit, we use the statutory definition, really envisions a whole unit that is used as a vacation rental, and they asked about, well, what about people that just rent out a room, or they rent out a garage or a part of their residence where they're living there or something like that. They thought, and those are usually called hosting or hosting units, they suggested that we add that to the ordinance, and so require those folks, just like vacation rentals, to register so that we know what's going on and can
But then what happens
monitor
to the
those
person
appointments.
who has an exchange student that come in? They're just letting that exchange student use their house for a semester.
You're not renting it. If you're just allowing a guest to stay, that you wouldn't have to, yeah. So you can have your in-laws and don't have to do that either, so anything like that, or an exchange student or friends that come into town. That's not, this is for people that, for compensation, rent out a unit. And
But renting it out to your kid and charging your kid rent.
well, assuming that would be longer than a short-term rental,
Nowadays,
sadly, it
yes.
usually is. Yeah.
Sometimes
No,
not.
that would be exempt, right, that would
I'm
not
just
be
saying, making
required.
sure that you, if family members are exempt, I'm just making.
Well, the vacation rental is for 3 separate rentals during an annual period. So if you just did one unit, one time to your child, that wouldn't trigger the threshold either. And if you're not holding the unit out for rent, you're just allowing your kid to stay there, that wouldn't be required. But the one is to add the hosting units, which we do think is a good idea. The second was P and Z recommended the ordinance as it's proposed requires additional solid waste things. It required, for instance, the solid waste cans to be screened from view, to have a trellis or a hedge around them. I think the notion of P and Z, I wasn't at P and Z, but that we don't want these to stand out, to look different from other units, and we shouldn't have different restrictions on them. So they didn't want that. They wanted the solid waste to be the same as any other, like, single-family residence within the city. So they struck those requirements, and they're here tonight if they wanted to address any of that. And then the third notion was to clarify, and it was a little clunky, there's this, the way the enforcement process works is it's like a series of strikes, and it's within a rolling 1-year period, and they just wanted to have that better defined, how that would be. And it truly is a rolling 1-year period. So if you get 5 violations within a 12-month period, that's when you can actually be subject to have your registration revoked. So,
Okay.
and so anyway, those are in the proposed, and if you're fine with that, we can bring those back with the suggested. Okay.
You fine with those? Joe, you good with it? Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Nice job, Scott.
Actually, Jennifer deserves a credit.
Nice job.
I just read it, so, yeah, no, I made some edits. But. Okay, but
So-
first
so you
reading
wanna-
tonight, and certainly public comment would be
Public
helpful.
comment?
Yeah.
Jennifer Morris, 1064 Golden Down Loop. Just a couple things that I wanted to see if you guys looked at. The contact availability within 30 minutes, if that can be included. And it also says that you can limit the total number of rentals per operator. Oh, no, we can't do that. Hold on. Let me see. There's one that, a unique contact, local contact per vacation rental. Somehow you can legally say that each rental has to have a unique contact, which would actually reduce the number of rentals per operator. Because if, the operator will have a hard time getting a unique contact per rental. Also, I didn't see anything in there that says that the VR is prohibited in HOA or deed restricted communities. We want to make sure that we're not trumping our HOA laws.
That's correct. It doesn't say that in that, but that is correct. If HOAs are free to have whatever regulations they want, if they wish to prohibit them, they can.
And then, and so my concern too, instead of the sleeping room, 2 people per sleeping room, should we define sleeping room as a bedroom and then further define what a bedroom is? Because it's kind of ambiguous that it would allow someone to consider any room with a floor to be a sleeping room. And you could have a kitchen or a garage, your living
I
room.
think the limiting 2 per sleeping room seems to be a challenge because a lot of them go 4 into a room, so they'll put 2 sets of bunk beds.
Yeah.
And with I know I went to, what was that one last week, and they actually had like 4 bunk beds, 2 sets of bunk beds in 1 bedroom. And because they usually will come in, and especially for here, if they're doing functions, they'll rent it out for a group of cyclists will come down. You'll have softball players come down. You'll have different functions going on here, and they'll load them up in there. So I think there's a fire capacity piece that kind of covers the sleeping per room piece.
Yeah, I just think it needs to be defined like what a bedroom is. So they're not, even though if there's a bedroom with bunk beds, then yeah, maybe you can further define it that 4 people would be allowed or something like that. But my concern is it's too ambiguous that they could define a sleeping room as pretty much anything in the room.
I mean, I kind of find it, when I look back at me being younger, a sleeping room was where I fell. So,
Right.
So
Yeah.
I kind of feel there's a part here where as
They
long
had
as they
Airbnbs
meet
back
the
then?
maximum capacity of,
I didn't hear that.
the maximum capacity of
hear
the
that.
house kind of
I didn't
covers
hear
that
it,
piece
Todd.
out.
Yeah, there were one of the bills that went through actually had language that perhaps we'll look at that and try to track it. The other notion is, remember, part of the registration process, when they come in, the city actually reviews and sets an occupancy unit or limit for that unit. So at that part, they'll look at, if it's on a 3-bedroom house on the tax rolls, they're gonna limit 2 per bedroom. And then typically they allow 2 for like a common area for a pull-out couch or something, but that's the maximum type of thing. But it's a good point.
And how does it
We can-
handle the 14 people in the backyard?
Oh, that would be a
The modifier.
violation.
A violation.
That's to have
Just saying, if they're not sleeping there, they're just visiting.
gathering or visiting.
Yes, okay. I think
So,
it's,
couple more things. Insurance requirement, it seems like you're allowed to require the rentals to have a proof of $1 million liability insurance to take the burden off of the city for any issues with that. And I said, what is the violation? I see all the violations, but not on specifically stating finding someone operating a VR without even registering. So what's the violation of not registering? That's all.
That would probably be just a straight code enforcement if they haven't registered. In fact, I
Yeah.
think we've had some citations from code enforcement already on folks that haven't registered, so.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Paul Arnaldo at Gold Dust Drive, Minneola. Just to confirm, the HOA has the power to override the decision from the city or state in this case. So if the HOA decides to not allow vacation rentals, we are allowed to do it, just to confirm. Okay. And the city cannot define a period or account limit, is that correct?
Yeah, the city is not allowed to regulate the duration or the frequency, so, yes.
And just to understand, because in Orlando, everybody knows that Kissimmee is the area that you can have vacation, and everywhere else, basically, you have limitations, Dr. Phillips. So this is not the truth anymore, right? Is that correct?
What's that one more time? What-
Please repeat
in
it.
Orlando, everybody knows that Kissimmee is the place
Right,
for
yeah.
rental homes, and the other places you are not allowed to do this. I used to live in Windermere, you are not allowed to do this. So this is not necessary truth anymore. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, we're not prohibiting vacation rentals at all in Minneola. We're just simply requiring them to register. There are some cities, and perhaps Windermere is one of them, I'm not familiar with them, that prohibit entirely vacation rentals. The only cities that are allowed to do that were ones that prohibit them before 2011. In 2011, the state legislature came along and said cities are no longer allowed to prohibit them, but if a city had already prohibited them, they were allowed to keep it, to kind of grandfather that prohibition. So you'll see cities that do prohibit them or do regulate them, but
We lost the train.
yeah, but we're not allowed to do that, so.
Next question is, will there be a public record of the houses with the registrations? Because for us, it's gonna be hard to understand. Hopefully, we can block this in HOA where I live, but again, assuming we would not, people would need to know this house has a registration or not, and all the information that you are sharing here. So is this gonna be available somewhere in the website?
I doubt if it'll be posted on the website, but yes, there will be, the registrations are public record, so folks would be able to see what units have vacation rental permits.
Can I ask this to be considered to be available in the website so people can easily check it with the definitions that you are discussing here?
I have no problem with that, but we'll just have to see if it can be done. So.
There's a part where it becomes PII of what's disclosed or not, but it does answer the question is, if you can say somebody's got to be contactable within 30 minutes, and it's 8 o'clock at night, how are they going to get that? Does the police have access to all this
And
data?
I don't think we need to have access to names.
No, I'm talking about not y'all, but I'm just saying from the aspect of how, the question I have is, if somebody calls in and complains at 9 o'clock at night, and somebody needs to reach the owner, City Hall's closed.
Yes.
Who has that number? Is that something that, I'm just saying we just need to have,
Work that out.
we
yeah.
need to have a SOP of how this process works.
Correct. With
How does
access to the
after-hours
PII data,
complaints
yes.
handle, and what is the police department gonna do and not do with these, and have a general understanding? Does that make sense?
Another aspect of this is like, we all know that this is gonna have an impact on prices houses, right? Like, I would never buy a house where I know that at the side has somebody with a vacation home. So understand we cannot limit, but it's important to understand is like regulating this and allowing this without proper control will have a big impact in the property of our homes.
What is the count of how many homes do we have that actually meet this right now?
How many currently?
Yeah.
I don't know what the count is.
I mean, short-term rentals, we have around 20.
Minneola is not a city that anybody comes worried that this would happen. I talk for a new neighborhood and nobody wants this, right? Like, if people knew would be allowed, some people would not buy their houses, knowing that your day neighbors could be a vacation home. And you guys are talking about parking, I understand, but the main issue is not parking, right? Like, it's hard for our neighbors already understand the rules. Imagine someone just coming for 1 week. They will party, they will trash, they will break, and they don't care, right? They are paying for it. So, like, this is gonna have a huge impact on our lives. I just want to make sure. Understand we cannot block, but there is gonna be a really impact in here by doing this.
Yeah, I understand the intention here was to get out in front of it. Right now, any house could be used as a vacation rental. So even though it's not all these, every go down the street, they could be used. And there's no limit, for instance, on occupancy. So you could have a party house.
Regulate.
What this is trying to do is
Regulate.
before, right now there's just 20 of them, but before there are a lot of vacation rentals, as the area grows, to put some ground rules in. There have been complaints, particularly in the older section of town, that some of these things are starting to happen. There are some vacation rentals where people come in for the weekend, they have a good time, right? That can have showers, all sorts of things, and it can really be disturbing to some of the neighbors sometimes. So this is just trying to put some limits on that and try to find a right balance between property rights, allowing people to use their property and to earn some income, but also respecting the neighbors. So that's what we're trying to.
Which touches my last comment, right? Like, if the city and we are gonna have a cost with this, it would be fair that whoever is renting should pay some fee or tax to the city.
Oh, Yes, I should have probably mentioned that. That is part of the process. They do have to pay there are sales taxes on the rentals. Another advantage of this is part of the registration process is they have to show to the city that they have registered with the proper tax, the Department of Revenue and with the Lake County to pay their local taxes so that we know that they're paying their proper taxes and that they can be because I'm sure there are folks now that perhaps aren't paying the taxes they're supposed to.
Okay, but the tax you are talking about, the regular property tax that we do, or a tax associated to the rental?
This
that they
is
are
this is
receiving?
specific to the rent. This is not property taxes. This
Okay.
is sales taxes
Sales
on the
tax
rental. So
associated to each rental that they are doing.
each rental, they have to pay sales tax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's an important topic. Yes. Thank you.
Anyone else? So you'll clean that up and bring it back and we'll have it again.
Yes.
And if it's not right, we'll keep getting it till we get it right.
Exactly, until we get it perfect.
Okay. Purchase request for Educational Avenue street lighting, Duke Energy. I thought this was, they're only doing part of it though, right, Mark?
Yes, we previously had a design. This roadway is in two different electric districts. So we've got them combined for this purpose under one. The districts aren't changing, but we had to redo the design to add different light heads and placements for the extra lane that they're going to build.
Yeah.
So the design is in there, and
This shows where you can see how the lights, where the light is going to, where it's going to distribute through this. This is Duke actually designed this for us. Bo sent him our lane, our Education Avenue, that right turn lane we're putting in at the school. So they redesigned the light thing that they had done for us, the light plan they had done for us. And this shows where the light is going to go and not go. And then these are the type of, this is what the light pole is going to look like, and the lights will look like this, except for it'll only be a single light, not a double light. That's one of the big differences there. You can see it a little better there.
We'll light up the path too.
I believe,
The trail.
it looks like it, I think they did the best they could to try to light the trail and the road as much as they could
Sure.
without keeping it out of the people's yards as much as they could.
Thank you. Anybody in the audience have any questions, concerns? He's concerned he's gonna see the Sugarloaf.
Right. All right, Kevin Carey, 20237 Sugarloaf Mountain Road. Just looking at this, one thing, there are some things missing out of it. So if they're following criteria, you're missing the analyzing the intersection of Stillwood. Grassy Lake Road, the numbers are lower. I don't know if we're following DOT criteria or not, but we're lower than DOT criteria on several items. The Grassy Lake crosswalks are not included. I'm just not sure why all the crosswalks are not included. If you're trying to, they provide a calculation zone for vertical, but they don't show all the crosswalks. And since that's heavily used by students going to the high school, it'd be a really good idea to make sure all the crosswalks are lit correctly. There's some of the numbers, just so you have context, in the lower right corner. DOT normally goes like 2.5 for sidewalks. If it's separated, 1.5 for intersections and 1.5 for the road. So we're lower than all those. We're still above the minimums, but we're below the recommended values. The one thing that also is concerning is why we stopped before Hancock. It goes right to like the last two lights and then it stops, saying that, well, these other two lights are here, but then the values as they get towards Hancock get lower and lower. And that's where all the kids start congregating. So like the sidewalk values start to drop off to almost zero once you get to Hancock, which is probably like the worst place not to have lighting.
Then there's Seco, isn't that Seco down that area, Mark?
yes, I see what he's saying.
You see what I mean? Like if you, I can't zoom in on this picture, but if you look at that one piece of sidewalk, it goes from like 0.2, 0.3, and then it just goes to 0.
So I believe part of this was we're trying to stay out of the county's right of way.
Right.
And Hancock Road is theirs, and we're
Okay.
trying to stay within ours.
In yours? Okay, all right. That makes sense. It just, if that could be coordinated somehow, but it's like we're doing a great job, and then we're making this bright area, and then we go dark. So all the kids are gonna go from light to dark, and then you're right at the high school, which is where you don't want to have the dark spots. So I'm sure the county may not have anything against it, but I know Seco is one of the ones that we deal with that they won't do their own. You have to do it for them. I know, that's what we deal with all the time. That's kind of one of the tougher parts. I think I thought there was something else I had, but, as Joyce was saying, the light fixtures that are shown there, that's just some of the values that they put on there. The light does go further than that. So the one thing, just to make sure you guys don't get a lot of the questions from the residents, is have Duke put a calculation zone around all the houses. You'd be surprised how much light comes off the back of those. I know they do have shields on the back of them, but that still bleeds light behind it. It minimizes it, but you may want to have them look at that before they start installing the light fixtures. That way you don't get a whole bunch of complaints, because you got a whole lot of homes that are along that roadway that are now enjoying darkness, and then they're going to see a whole bunch of lights coming towards their houses, so you will get complaints. So just things to think about. So anyway, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Kevin.
Anyone else?
Dave Yeager, 2750 Purple Meadow Court. If Kevin's calculations are right, Lake County needs to participate, because it makes no sense if we're doing it right everywhere else and we want to stay out of their right-of-way. That doesn't make any sense, especially when they're Lake County residents, Lake County students. So if his calculation is right, they need to participate. Thank you.
Yep. I'm not an engineer. I just know that we need lights on that road. So whatever you have to do to make it happen. Joe, any questions?
At some places along Education Ave, the sidewalk's like 30, 40 feet from the street. And this is primarily to light up the street. I'm not sure that enough light will get back to those sidewalks that are so far from the street, because the right-of-way on Education Ave is way bigger than the road is, because we got enough right-of-way for 4 lanes. So the sidewalks were put way back. And what Kevin is saying, the people in the houses might be annoyed by the light, but somehow that light's gotta play into the sidewalks. The sidewalks are as important as the street, I think, in many ways.
Yeah, we originally, before the road decided to be widened, we originally were looking at decorative light posts on the sidewalk side. With all the changes that were made and to keep costs down, we're going to put them all on the other side. But it really was, trying to thread the needle of not having too much bleed over into the neighbors, but also covering the sidewalk. And it's really a challenge, but Duke Energy put a lot of effort into trying to make it the best they knew how to make it. We can cover more of the sidewalk, but then we might have more bleed over into the homes.
If you could just get with the county and see if we could at least get the numbers up towards the Lake County side, if they don't mind us encroaching. Any questions, concerns? Anybody in the audience, what do you need from us to make a motion just to approve?
Yeah, need an approval if you wanted to do that, subject to the comments that were made, that would be appropriate too, yeah. Addressing the concerns.
I'd like to make that motion, please.
Can a motion, addressing the concerns from the audience concerns? Are you good with that, Mark?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Final plat, Sullivan Road, mixed use.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. For the record, Eric Rosh here as a contract planner for the city. This is agenda item number 16. This is the Sullivan Road mixed-use final plat. Some of you may know the project known as Point Grand as well. So this one's located on the east side of US 27. It's north and south of Sullivan Road. It's about 53 acres in size. Just some background on the project. You may recall some previous approvals. There was a preliminary subdivision plat that's already been approved for this property with this identical layout. There's a Live Local project that's proposed on the south portion of the property on Lot 3. You can see it in the bottom of the screen. There's a proposal for some fee simple townhomes on the north side on Lot 2. And then there's a small property, about 6 acres, located north of Sullivan Road, which we don't have any active proposals on. Also, as part of this, the applicant's proposing to convey right-of-way for Sullivan Road. So these are the 3 lots that are proposed to be created. It's really kind of an administrative procedure. I mean, this is not allowing any vertical construction. Those come with site plans and those types of approvals. This is really just subdividing the property. So Lot 1, as you can see on the north of Sullivan Road, about 6 acres for future commercial. Lot 2, 26 acres just south of Sullivan Road. That's where we've got a proposal for some fee simple townhomes. And then Lot 3 is the Live Local project that's already been through the process. I believe that project's going to break ground shortly if it hasn't already. And then RW1, that's a tract for right-of-way. You can see it in gray here. The applicant's conveying 1.71 acres for Sullivan Road. So the applicant went through the process of all the staff review. All the staff members have signed off. Mylars have been signed by the city engineer and the city surveyor. The bond estimates have been approved by the city engineer. The bonds were delivered to City Hall and signed for. We're still trying to get confirmation of the hard copy of the bond, but that's just a cleanup issue. If we need to get another copy, we sure can. And we would recommend approval of this final plat this evening. So with that, I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Joe, do you have anything?
No.
No.
Anybody in the audience have any comments? With that said, just go over the motion, Scott.
Yes, please.
Can I get a motion to approve, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat, Sullivan Road mixed use.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
We got a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Trailhead restroom renovations.
Yes, we have before you 3 quotes to renovate Trailhead Park bathrooms. The request is to contract with the lowest bidder.
I'm fine with that. You have any questions, concerns? Anybody in the audience?
Something just real quick. Jennifer Morris, 1064 Golden Dawn Loop. I didn't have enough time to go through everything, but the contractor that you're approving or going to approve listed the part numbers, and I noticed that a changing table was $2,400, which from the previous stuff I've looked and that's not the case, but they're putting in some stainless steel changing table, which that's fine. But when I looked up the manufacturer part number at the industrial whatever, the exact part number was $1,800. So I'm wondering if the public gets cheaper parts than an actual contractor, or should we go back? And I looked up a mirror. So it's the cost of the parts are inflated on that quote by several $100s or.
Overhead and tariffs.
Is that what? I mean, I'm
No,
sure I don't know if 75,000 is reasonable or not, but I just wanted to bring that into the attention of the council that if you were to go purchase every part per what they had said, I'm sure you'd be saving at least $5,000, but maybe you can get something knocked off. I don't know. Thank you.
With that said, anybody else in the audience? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item 17, purchase request for Trailhead Park restroom renovations.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
First and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. When are you hoping to get this started, Mark?
We'll ask the contractor and try to get
Yeah,
it
please.
sent out to you.
Make sure there's a timeline involved where they have something and
And if that could be added to the,
just make sure. It just needs a timeline, and we need a due date, and they need to be held accountable, please. Can you sign? Okay.
Yep.
With that said, bring it back. Mark?
Real quick, in front of you have the library calendar, event calendar, of all the activities they have planned. A lot of good stuff for children, families with children. Our Minneola Market is May 28th, reminding you of also a Memorial Day event, May 26th at 10 a.m. at the May Griffith Gazebo. A commercial project along Highway 27 would like to have a workshop, and we want to make sure June 10th is good for everybody before we try to schedule it.
Okay, June 10th for which workshop?
For a commercial project on Highway 27 that they're trying to propose.
Is this the business, which one is this? Can you give us a little bit more?
I don't remember the exact nature of the
Is
business.
Is it Minneola Business Park, or is it the one?
It's further north.
Okay, fine. So it's north side. North of us, not south of us. Thank you.
Yes.
That's good. I just needed a direction.
And then before you have the splash pad concept for the crew can.
Fine with that.
Also, the concrete sidewalk repairs, we're making progress on those, doing them in-house. We've had difficulties getting a contractor that wants to do them. You know, they have to mobilize and do 2 or 3 slabs and then move over here and do several. So it's been a challenge getting contractors, but they were able to find one that's in the neighborhood of $213,000. So we could have them come and do all of them, or we can continue to do them ourselves till we get them all done.
So what do you think, what is your opinion? I'll support whatever you think. They just need to get done.
Yeah, we've done about 11 sites so far. I don't remember how many cubic yards of concrete, but
That's fine. Just keep chunking away.
okay. Keep chunking. All right, that's it.
Anything for city manager?
so just to confirm, you said something about a workshop on the 10th of June?
June 10th,
Okay.
I cannot attend June 10th. I have a college thing.
It'll be, just watch the video
I
afterward.
can watch the video afterwards.
Anything for city manager? Nope. Scott, anything?
Yes, just 2 things. One is the legislature's still meeting, so I will defer my legislative report till we get a little more clarity with that. But most of the bills that we were particularly worried about, the CRA and some other things, died, so that was good to hear. But there are some troubling things that are still smoldering. The haven't become law yet, and they're still trying to make some edits, but I'll report on that later. The second thing is just to remember everybody, and as Mark mentioned, the Crooked Can splash pad, among other things, is before you. Remember when you all met as the CRA, gosh, I don't know, 6-9 months ago or something. You're not bound to it, but you expressed the desire that you would contribute $500,000 towards that splash pad in the future. It hasn't been, nothing's been documented, but I do know they're moving forward with this. One thing, and I've heard your city manager tell them more than once, is if they wish to have the city contribute money towards that splash pad, they need to work with the city on the plan and how it's going to look. The overall concept that we would be talking about doing is that it'd kind of be like a public-private partnership. They would build it and maintain it, but in exchange for the CRA money, they would do a long-term lease, public lease, so that it would be used, and the splash pad would be enjoyable and available to the public. So as a park, but it would still be leased to the city. So,
Run with the land?
yes, that would run with the land. And so that would all be negotiated at the time the payment would be made. But just reminding you, I say that just because I understand that the property owner is moving forward with the understanding that there will be some CRA money down the line. And if that was not the case, I didn't want that to.
No, that's, I thought we voted on that, we agreed on that.
Yeah. I think there was a consensus of the CRA, and that was where that was. Okay. Very good.
Okay. That it?
That's it.
Anything for Scott?
Nope, thank you.
No?
Anything? Oh, Scott, I'm good. Pam, anything?
Nope, nothing this evening.
Meeting?
Yes.
What?
First of all, just real quick, I want to thank Mark and Christine and Kevin and Nathan for all their help Saturday and Monday with our event and our chairs. And I just want to thank you. So thank you very much. Second thing, I just want something for the council to consider. You've heard the term Monday morning quarterback. At our last meeting that we had, when we discussed about Nathan Edmonds' company, our current social media management company, I know, a couple of us here were shocked about what Pat had to say. With that said, I would like for the council, and we don't have to talk about it tonight, but I want to express how I feel. I think there needs to be clear transparency when we have an agreement like this. And I know you were disappointed and had a list of things, but Nathan was not here to defend himself. And for clear transparency, I reached out to Nathan. And the old saying, there's 3 sides to every story. So I got Nathan's side of the story. I heard your side of the story. And I think we ought to reconsider not canceling the contract, letting him say what he needs to say, what happened, just like you did. And we can work out something, because I think on both sides it was not clear of the expectations, and I don't think it was transparent.
Absolutely not, from my point. I told him in the meeting that if he didn't turn it up, that I was going to bring it up and ask for cancellation. Mark was sitting in the meeting when I told him that. He had every opportunity to be here, because I told him I was going to discuss it. So I'm absolutely not. There was a lot of, again, we'll bring up his company in public record, which is what I was hoping not to do, that it just go away. But absolutely not. There's no way that he is, like we told him, it was going to go back out for bid, and he's welcome to present with everybody else, to have that level playing field and set expectations. But
Or did we give him anything to go by, like a calendar, a
Yes.
list of events? Did we, Mark? I mean, did we? I don't know.
yes, we did.
So, I think for us to make that quick, reaction, I mean.
It wasn't a quick reaction. He had weeks to know about it. We gave him calendars. He knew that we were doing the events here. The part of it is, part of the communication that he put out was all created 100% from ChatGPT, which is you can't put out unless it's disclosed that you're using ChatGPT. So there was a lot of municipality things that they didn't do. It wasn't you missed a video.
Yeah,
But, you can sit here, and I'm sure he called and cried to everybody, but
I can talk with you afterwards.
okay,
But
because
it's-
I heard his story, I hear this story, and
if he wants to come here
Nothing's
in
clear.
public record and bring it up and have the discussion with me for all the stuff like this, I'm more than willing to do that. If he wants to do that, I would highly recommend him not, but that's fine. That's up to him.
no, I want to say that for clear transparency, I reached out to hear his side of the story.
So,
And,
okay.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anything? No. I've got nothing after the final public comment. I missed on a public comment. My bad.
I was giving you the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, you said, well, I don't have to talk to him tonight. I have a few things. The firehouse.
Sorry,
So-
sir, can you state your name and address?
Oh, yes. Dave Yeager, 2750 Purple Meadow Court.
Thank you.
The firehouse, I was on Poplar Island Road today. The firehouse was out by the road. Disney, they're out by the road. The Villages, special people, it's out by the road. Parking's in the back. And they're very proud of their firehouses. And if you remember about 15 years ago when we tried to move the firehouse from downtown Old Minneola, the people went supersonic because they love their firehouse. And the engines are from that one house were less than 7 feet. And the road was a two-lane road in Old Minneola, and the engine lights go to the people's houses, but they love their firehouse. So the fact is the firehouse needs to be out front and proud because we're in Minneola. And by the way, if, you know, I don't care if you put it back or forward, we run on the turnpike so much, so they're usually not there most of the time, they're on the turnpike. Because I was on the turnpike the other night for 10 hours. Dumpster application fee. A couple of meetings ago, they said there was 2,000 homes. Do that times $100, we would have a lot of money in the bank, like $200,000. So just think of those things that when all the developers are gone, they're gone. And we have to hold everything together. The flag at the Public Works, up at the wastewater treatment plant, we are having Memorial Day Monday. The flag is all ripped and torn up.
Can I stop you on that one for a second?
Okay.
It brought, with the Public Works one, I was looking, when we had all the flags at half-staff, I was looking for one at our Public Works here. Do we not have a
A flagpole?
flagpole there?
I
Not
didn't
at this
see.
time.
I don't think so.
But this is the wastewater treatment plant.
But we have another public building that probably needs to
But
have
again,
one.
it's a freight flag. I mean,
Yes.
it
Right. I was just, but
could use a replacement. Got nothing?
So we
The
need a
other thing is that
replacement.
we have the sign that was put back, it was there with the old road. It's time to look forward and put a new sign so it can come out to the new road. So we got rid of the Minneola Realty building. What a dramatic difference. It's beautiful. I don't think that is a hurricane shelter, that new building, because we don't have 2 bathrooms. So the generator needs to go away. It doesn't even need put there because there's nothing to generate to open the building up for what? So it just needs to go away. There's 2 bathrooms. It's not going to be a hurricane shelter. It wasn't built as a hurricane shelter, so why put a lipstick on a pig? Would make no sense. The Wart land is next to the wastewater treatment plant. I know you haven't ever heard me say anything about that, but you know, in the future, we're going to need that for wastewater treatment. The sign out here, I guess we're still waiting for the sign, Mark?
Yes, we changed companies and we are still waiting.
And so I knew how that was going to come out, and that's not your fault, but that's how it come out. But could we order another one? Because the day we put it up is 2 days to be a hurricane, because it's almost been a year. So could we just have one in a crate sitting there, because we know it's going to happen. Really, the sign needs to be destroyed and do a nice monument sign and be done, but that's a whole nother story. But if we order one now, we'll surely have one after the hurricane in 6 or 8 months, because as soon as the hurricane comes, everybody who makes those signs are booked for a year. So it would be nice just to have one in stock, because it's going to go away. Last thing is the trees. You know, our guys do a great job here, but have a professional come in and take the trees down, the pine trees, be done, harvest them, pay somebody to do it. You need a real company, come in with the real machines and tear it down. I know they're going to be coming back to Founders. They're going to be coming to Richland. So coordinate with one of them when they have it and say, the option is, we need your help here, developers, to take these trees and do some passive parking. And then the last thing is, don't you get tired of going to and say, I want a delivery to Minneola, and they go, what's your zip? And it says Claremont. Well, we're going to have tons of warehouse space on the west side. It's time, if you've seen the distribution down, there used to be just a few cars there. There's cars on the hill, there's cars up on the landscape, there's cars everywhere. We deserve our own zip code. It's time. And as far as distribution, if that center you were talking about, if you move it back and make it a place like, almost like Lake Nona, you have the firehouse, that's a symbol of beauty. And again, if nobody likes the lights and the sirens from the firehouse, they only like them when they need them. So, but we need our own zip code. Because how many times we've been here and the zip code is 13415. Oh, that comes up Claremont. No, it's not Claremont. Well, why isn't it Claremont? Because we don't do distribution. Well, because we only have 2 guys, you know, and a pony to bring our mail. So it'd be nice to have our own zip. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Kind of hard to follow that, I know. With that said, can I get a motion for adjournment, please?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's just,
Looking good. Come alive.